thank you, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, MAHE, for having me here. And good morning to all the distinguished participants. Ambassador Sanjay Singh had given a very important groundwork details of our relations with both the country. What I will do is just flag a few economic fallouts of the accord. And um, yeah, and I'll take the help of few maps. But before we move on to that, I would just say a few things that we knew that the relations between UAE and Bahrain with Israel had been brewing for almost a decade. But with two strokes of a pen, we see certain giant strides in terms of economic deals in the region. And that has the potential to transform some of these existing trade, commerce, and travel. So we'll see some of these as we go down. Can we have the next slide, please, where we can see we can see the map. Please press enter. Yeah. So just after this Abraham Accord, as we say it, a very crucial geography has stepped out of shadows. You can see this land bridge between Eilat and Ashkelon. It's a land bridge that connects Red Sea and Mediterranean. This was a very secretive arrangement made by Eilat Ashkelon Pipeline Company, ironically in joint venture with pre-revolutionary Iran in the wake of the Suez Canal. In contemporary times, and just after the accord, this is gaining traction for a variety of reasons. One, and it has the potential to shave off significant business that flows through the Suez Canal. Because Suez Canal suffers from three major problems. One, the tanker size is limited. The Suezmax is half the size of VLCC carriers, very large carriers which can move up to Port Eilat here. And the cost is very high, approximately $300,000-$400,000 per trip of the Suezmax. There's increasing congestion. So what is happening? At least in times of very low oil prices, the oil tankers prefer going around the Cape of Good Hope, around Africa, to avoid this cost and congestion. So just after the accord, the company, is making with the Gulf oil producers in order to project themselves as an important gateway for communicating oil from Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. And lo and behold, next, please just press enter. We'll see. Press enter a couple of times. Is it hanging? Press enter, please. Or by the time it comes up, let me just use my arrow to illustrate what I'm saying. It also has the potential to take the wind out of the Iranian sail at Strait of Hormuz. Because if the right connections are built here across this Arabian Peninsula, you can straight move into this region, into the Mediterranean Sea. So, and all the Gulf producers are very keen on using every possible opportunity to avoid the Strait of Hormuz. And we have an existing east-west oil pipeline across Saudi Arabia, which has the capacity of 5 million barrels per day, and they're expanding it to 7 million barrels per day. Next, please. So this is the company map, and these are the existing pipelines. And the capacity, it is 250 kilometers pipeline, and it has the capacity to flow 600,000 barrels per day, with storage capacity around 2 terminals of 3.7 million cubic meter. And the most important aspect of this pipeline is the bidirectional flow. It was earlier purposed to bring oil from the Caspian and Black Sea into the Asian market. Now what these company officials are doing is to project themselves the bidirectional flow as an alternative to bring Gulf oil into the Mediterranean, as an alternative to Suez Canal, as well as the pipeline that exists from Egypt Egypt towards the Mediterranean, because it is only unidirectional. And so the rechristened company now called as Europe Asia Pipeline Company. Next, please. Yeah, so that's a capacity, that's a storage capacity, and so as soon as this accord is being signed, a lot of this thinking has been underway, and an MOU has been signed in Abu Dhabi between this company and the Red Met in Abu Dhabi, in the presence of US, UAE, and Israeli businessmen and officials, to make use of this land bridge and to communicate oil from Red Sea to the Mediterranean. Next, please. Next, please. Just press enter. Maybe it's got hanged because we need to see the chart to just, yeah. And if we, oh, it's gone. Yeah, thanks. So if Israel has also been trying to rope in UAE for its East Mediterranean gas projects. In fact, in 2018, media was awash with reports that UAE has actually made those investments, but we didn't hear anything after that. So the scene here is this East Asia. East Mediterranean Gas Forum, which is unique in many ways. It came into being in 2008, early 2018. It is unique in two respects. One, it is the first organization where Israel has been officially admitted as a member along with Arab partners. There are 7 signatories, including Palestinian Authority. So just after nearly a month after this deal, the charter of this organization was signed. But there is a bit of a contradiction in Israel's gas policy here, because Israel has an estimated reserve of 500 TCF, trillion cubic feet, and that's what the British Petroleum says. Though they say that it goes up to 1,000, but we'll see what we'll stick to what's been was the proven reserves. Its own consumption is about 10 billion. Its own consumption is about 10 billion. That means the reserve to production ratio would be, it will give a lifeline of 50 years. So there is there's not much gas, where there are 2 gas line pipeline projects. One that takes the gas straight to Europe, sidelining the Arab cooperation, whereas the East Mediterranean Gas Forum was basically was conceived as a project where Israel could get into some sort of a regional gas cooperation with the Arab neighbors. So depending upon where UAE puts its money, we'll see how these projects will advance. And UAE already has stakes in Egyptian gas, offshore oil gas fields. And next, please, if you just press enter, we'll see a couple of things. Yeah, so UAE is already here, and it is in talks with the Israeli Shipyard Limited for a joint bidding for Haifa port here. And this flow of gas into Egypt is crucial, because although Egypt's gas supply has increased in recent times, but its LNG terminals are still lying underutilized, and will be the export, which has already begun early this year, is very crucial to that. So I believe that UAE investment, keeping Qatar in rear view mirror, trying to push Qatar out in its own backyard. So we are expecting some major deals here. Next, please. So then there are deals with shipping deals. As I told you, they are jointly bidding in Haifa and DP World, which operates almost 10% of the global shipping. It is in talks with Dover Tower, which also has a participating interest in Eilat. They want to have a dedicated shipping line between Jebel Ali and Haifa. And a couple of days ago, UAE cargo has already reached Haifa. And the official estimates are the trade could be of some $4 billion. Now, Jebel Ali is the largest port in the Middle East. It's multimodal connectivity. And that means from here, within the span of 3 hours, you can touch by air. You can touch a radius of a population of 3 to 4 billions, and a direct connectivity to 150 ports around the world. So, and both of them are transshipment hub. Now, this kind of arrangement we don't have because we still are dependent on Dubai Colombo for transshipment facilities. So this is a major deal that's going to reshape a lot of commerce, rerouting them from Suez Canal to this land bridge into the Mediterranean. Next, please. In aviation, just a quick look at the indicators. The GDP, Israel is not very far behind UAE. Bahrain is in a very bad situation because of its lesser reserve. Population-wise, both UAE and Bahrain are less than 10 millions. And if we look at the purchasing power, GDP and appetite purchasing power, there is a disparity. Although Israel is also reasonably high, but there is a lot of inequality that needs to be addressed, and this partnership would be useful. And all the three countries face major problems of unemployment. And we can see these figures here, and especially in the COVID, Israeli unemployment has gone up to 17%. And the economy is contracted by 10%. So that's a major challenge they have to face. Next, please. And this is just a fleeting glimpse as all these details Ambassador has already given. Next, please. Yeah, and in aviation and tourism. Uh, Beyond the numbers, I mean, it is very apparent that a lot of time and money will be simply shaved off because of these deals in civil aviation. And in early September, Saudi Arabia also allowed all the flights moving into UAE and moving away from UAE to all other parts of the world can use its airspace. And the first flight literally was covered in 3 hours, 17 minutes. And this has an symbolic implication in terms of that the regional buy-in of the agreement is there. Tacit blessing is there by neighbors who still do not have formal. And beyond the numbers, it's the cultural connect that's important. And Abu Dhabi has already launched its Hebrew website, says welcome from Abu Dhabi in Hebrew. And Emirati has already launched Kosher Arabia to provide kosher food to the travelers. And this is very amazing because till now, with great difficulty, the Jews in UAE probably did not get the food that they want, the kosher food that they want. But with one stroke of a pen, this is all very possible now. Next, please. So with this exchange, we are looking forward as great synergies, agricultural export from Israel, West Bank, Gaza, benefiting many Palestinians there, will move into UAE, Jebel Ali Pro, from where it can disperse from around the world. And UAE is like a gateway to the Arab region, like Hong Kong is a gateway to China. So with UAE in its kitty, it can very easily reach to its products can reach in the Arab world. Approximately 66% of the GCC imports pass through UAE. Israel is a hub of R&D. It's a startup nation, while UAE has just the right ecosystem for the startups and really looking forward for many technical collaboration. While Israel population is a little aging, the median age is 30. UAE has a much younger population. There's a great synergy between so Israel, which has the cutting edge technology in digital space, cutting across agriculture, health, finance, security. UAE's millennial generation, highest interest penetration, all of this are set to benefit from this. And what is most noteworthy is the Arabs in Israel and the Jews in UAE are suddenly becoming very important in order to facilitate these exchange. Next, please. Yeah, so just a quick look at the winners and losers. As we said, Suez Canal, the company, European Asian Pipeline Company, looks to divert 12 to 70% of the business going through Suez Canal. There we see some greater competition between UAE, within UAE, between Dubai and Abu Dhabi to attract the larger traffic of tourists. Then there'll be a competition between Israeli airlines and UAE carriers also. Elan is already running for its money, so much so that it actually sued the government for allowing Air India to pass over Saudi Arabia while it could not do by itself. That sue petition was withdrawn later. Then the funds is all Ambassador Sanjay Singh has already talked about. Importantly, this fund will be used in projects called Silicon Project in East Jerusalem, and this is going to generate 10,000 of jobs to the Palestinians who are there. It was going to connect the high-tech Palestinians to the UAE company. So there's going to be some positive spillovers. I think I'll wrap up it there, and then in Q&A I'll address other issues as it comes. Thank you very much.